Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Whether you're a woman aiming to become a confident, impactful leader, or you're a leader committed to promoting gender equity in the property and construction industry, this podcast is designed specifically for you. Join me every week to gain insights and inspiration that will leave you excited and confident about taking your next steps. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's dive into today's topic. Welcome to today's episode where we are delving into the world of women's development programs. And I want to use this as an opportunity to deconstruct what women's development programs actually are and what they're not and why we need them. Because I sometimes get backlash on this issue. I often hear comments and remarks about why should women get special treatment? Why do we need specific programs for women? And I want to address some of the common misconceptions about what these programs are. And if you've been here for a while, you know I'm a leadership coach and I work with individuals and organisations to develop leaders in the property and construction industry so that we can create high-functioning cultures where everyone can thrive. And my specialisation is in supporting women's development within the property and construction industry. I am so passionate about this topic. I'm so passionate about how do we not only attract, but how do we develop and retain the women we have in this space? Because from my own experience with nearly 2 decades in project management and development, I can tell you firsthand that the construction industry, the property industry can be incredibly tough. And I think that women's development programs have a huge role to play in supporting women in the industry and really empowering them to show up as themselves, to contribute fully and help shift the gender mix when it comes to leadership. And that is so important because that diversity is what drives innovation. It is what will allow organisations to stay sustainable and competitive in the future. Because diverse companies have access to a much broader talent pool, which leads to the recruitment of better qualified candidates, which improves performance by up to 35%. We see businesses with healthy cultures outperform their competitors by 15 to 20%. We see a reduction in that hidden cost of replacing employees, which is a huge impact to businesses. We are talking in the vicinity of between 50 and 200% of someone's annual salary to replace them. And we see inclusive workplaces being 6 times more likely to innovate and twice as likely to meet their financial targets. And as we see our industry continue to grow and continue to thrive, we know that what will make organisations competitive and make them stand out from the crowd is an ability to tap into a more diverse workforce, not only in terms of addressing the skills shortage, but also tapping into that innovation and that diversity that really unlocks innovation, increases and supports employee engagement, and drives better financial performance. And as I said, women's development programs will play a huge role in organisations being able to tap into, retain and develop women in the industry and within organisations, and that is crucial for success. So I want to talk about what are the components of a women's development program. Let's debunk these common misconceptions about their purpose and about their effectiveness. And I want to discuss why these programs are essential, not only for the empowerment of women, but also to create more inclusive and equitable workplaces and communities. So let's start at the beginning. What are women's development programs? These programs or initiatives have a bunch of names, right? They might be women's advancement initiatives, or they might be women's leadership programs, or women's empowerment workshops. And regardless of what we call them, the central aim of these women's development programs is to equip women with the skills and confidence required to excel and progress in their role. Now, these programs often encompass a wide range of initiatives aimed at fostering growth, skill development, and empowerment. And they are crucial for an industry like property and construction, where we have a problem attracting, retaining, and developing women. And these programs are very specifically tailored to address the needs and challenges faced by women. Now, women's development programs are not limited to leadership, right? So depending on the program, we are not just preparing women for leadership roles, they can be more broadly about equipping women at all stages of their career with the tools they need to succeed. And they can encompass different elements, from specific skills training to personal development to mentoring and networking, all of which we know have a huge impact in supporting women to overcome the unique barriers that they face. And these different elements come together to help participants overcome the unique barriers that they face as women, which is particularly valuable in male-dominated fields or environments where gender bias persists. And like it or not, the property and construction industry is very much built on an old boys club culture, which inherently isolates and sets women apart. And so when we look at the role of these programs, it really is multifaceted, right? They first of all serve as a catalyst for individual career growth for the women who participate. They also form as that platform for building strong professional networks, which is one of the key blockers that we see for women in the industry. And it also creates a safe space for discussing and addressing gender-specific challenges, which is hugely important in male-dominated spaces where we often see the lone woman or a sprinkling of women in our work environments. But beyond the individual benefits, women's development programs contribute to that broader organisational and societal change that we need by promoting diversity, by promoting inclusion and increasing participation and professional development for women, and by breaking down the stereotypes. And when we think about women's development programs, these can come in the form of organisation-led initiatives, so programs that are run by your company. They can be run by industry bodies who are looking to promote and support women in the industry, or they can be programs that are independently run and that individuals sign up to. I hope you've been enjoying the episode. I want to take a moment to let you know about my 5-step leadership framework. This is for anyone aspiring to be an exceptional leader, create high-functioning teams, and drive consistent and sustainable results. Head over to my website, rebeccabangura.com, to get your free copy or find a link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the episode. And when we think about this, it's crucial to recognise that these programs are highly customisable and they should be designed and implemented to align with the specific goals that are trying to be achieved. So that in a nutshell is what these programs are. But I want to also talk about what they are not. So as I said in the intro, there are a lot of common misconceptions about women's development programs. And I want to talk about some of these and how these women's development programs differ from general development. So one of the most common misconceptions is that they are exclusively for women who are ready to fast track to leadership positions, or what many might refer to as, these high potential females. And whilst it's true that there are many women in leadership programs that are designed specifically to prepare women for leadership roles, women's development programs actually have a much broader scope. These broader programs aim to support women at various stages of their career, not just those who are already near the top or showing potential to reach the top. And by providing access to mentorship and training and networking and development, women's development programs actually help a diverse range of participants to develop the necessary skills to advance their career at all levels. And this inclusivity enriches the programs. It allows for connections across organisational structures and levels to be formed. And it makes it not only beneficial to the participants, but also to organisations by really fostering a much deeper pool of talent across the business. Now, another frequent critique that I hear is that women's development programs are redundant, given the presence of gender-neutral leadership and development programs. And critics often argue that special development programs for women actually further segregate and isolate women, and in doing so, somehow lessen the importance of integrating gender diversity into mainstream programs. And whilst I absolutely agree that gender-neutral programs are invaluable and that we should be investing in the development of men and women alike in the industry, gender-neutral programs do not address specific challenges faced by women. And this is issues like unconscious bias and the lack of female role models and the unique work-life balance challenges that are faced by many women. And so by overlooking these issues, yes, we are developing women and we are developing men, but we are not setting women up to succeed because women have these additional barriers that their male counterparts just, quite frankly, do not have to face. And so women's development programs fill this gap by tailoring content to address the specific barriers, right? And they complement gender-neutral programs by ensuring that women are receiving that targeted support they need to overcome the systemic obstacles as well as have the professional development that they might get through a mixed gender setting. And this is crucial, right? Because these women's development programs play a critical role in levelling the playing field, because they offer that safe space for discussing sensitive issues and strategies around how we handle discrimination and bias. And they help to promote a broader understanding of diversity and inclusion. And I agree that we need to be having these conversations outside of women's development programs as well. But I think to honour and support women who are on the back foot, we need to give them the safe space to explore these issues as well. And from that space of having fostered this dialogue amongst women, it can actually help women have the conversations with their male colleagues around these issues much more effectively and in a much more engaging way, which then helps to drive longer term cultural changes within the organisation and within the industry, which are much needed. Finally, as I said at the start, right, expanding women's roles in property and construction will significantly impact the economy. We need the female talent that is out there. And women's development programs contribute directly to the potential economic uplift by enabling more women to enter and thrive in the high-value sector of construction. And so as we wrap today, I think it's just important to acknowledge that women's development programs are not just about providing equal opportunities for women. They are actually about harnessing the untapped potential that can drive significant growth and innovation in our traditionally male-dominated industries of property and construction. And these programs are essential for fostering a diverse workplace and for closing the gender gap in leadership and creating a more inclusive and profitable industry. And this is not just a moral imperative, right? There is a business case for these initiatives. And, this is the work that I've absolutely committed myself to doing, having firsthand experienced what it is like in the industry and knowing that there is so much potential and so much opportunity to do things differently and to do things better. If you are a woman listening to this wondering what the opportunities are out there for you, then reach out to your HR team, reach out to your manager, ask what the opportunities are. And feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm happy to share resources or talk about how we can support you to thrive in the industry. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week for another episode of Building Up Women in Property. Thanks for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, I'd love for you to take a moment and review the show if you found it helpful, or share it with a few friends. Thanks again, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.